Imagine that you quit your job, start a business, but the product that you invent is laughed at and rejected by every manufacturer and buyer that you meet. In fact, you only have $5,000 left to your name when you are in a room with a buyer of a major retail chain, probably the last opportunity you have of making your non-existent company into a real business. However, this buyer is losing interest. Your data, your slides, your logic are not working. What do you do in that situation? Well, this was the situation that Sara Blakely faced. And her solution was saying,
"Hey, I know this sounds weird, but would you mind coming with me to the women's bathroom?"
it's indeed a little bit weird, but once you realize what Sara was doing, you'll understand that she was actually relying on one of the oldest and most reliable techniques for conveying information that there is. Once in the bathroom, she explained to the female buyer why she invented Spanx. She explained the frustrations and the awkwardness of wearing traditional pantyhose underneath business pants. And then she did a show and tell. She demonstrated the traditional pantyhose under pants, looked awful, and then she demonstrated by comparison her newly invented Spanx, which looked a lot better. By the time that conversation was over, despite all the weirdness and awkwardness, she came out with a contract to sell her product in Neiman Marcus, which is one of the high-end retailers in the world. The rest was history, and Sara Blakely today has a billion-dollar empire built around this product. For example, instead of saying something like, "I was nervous when I opened that email," you can say something like, "My hands were literally shaking when I opened that email." The second version is far more visual than the first version. Or another example, instead of saying something like, "My manager is really harsh with me," you can say something like, "I wrote a memo, sent it over to my manager, but the next day I come to the office, I see the printed memo on my desk from my manager with a big giant red X all over the front page." Again, the second version, far more visual than the first version. The idea is to remember and mention these concrete, vivid details because these details increase interest and capture attention just like a photograph or a movie would. Now, these details are not central to your point or central to the story, but they really help in making your story complete. So if you follow these tips, you'll be able to hold the attention of people in any and master one of the most effective ways of communicating and persuading, which is the personal